They're trying to get in the NCAA tournament if they could take down the #1 team today. But Hope Troutwine and her defense and this offense for Oklahoma are going to have something to say about that.
And I like that Troutwine got the start. She's 15-0, by far the best ERA in the nation here, folks, with a .17. She's going to pump that heavy velo. She is a big, strong young lady out in the circle, and I just absolutely appreciate what she brings. Going to go up in the zone with that rise ball, cruise anywhere from 67 to 70. She's fun to watch.
Yeah, transferred in from North Texas as Patty Gasso retooled his pitching staff. And as you mentioned, the pitching staff really the biggest change because everybody else returned for Oklahoma after they won a title last year.
I mean, Nicole May is the sophomore, right, and she's the one that has the most experience from last year.
This is Carly Spellhog stepping up for Iowa State. Starting first, Spellhog had missed the last 4 games of the conference regular season with an ankle injury, but came back yesterday. She's a .318 hitter. That's how you start it. Iowa State, of course, faced this Oklahoma team 3 times during the regular season. The first game was close. The other 2 were run rules. Michaela Ramos will be batting in that 3 spot again. She's a .307 hitter. 14 home runs this season. But here comes Angelina Allen, the freshman, on a 6-game hit streak.
When I look at the performance yesterday by Michaela Ramos, she was 0 for, and she's one of these players, 17th in the nation, leads with RBIs, 53 on the year for Iowa State, and I think today is a big opportunity for her to try to shine and get Iowa State going.
Yeah, Ramos on deck. Senior playing in that DP role. We'll see if the freshman Angelina Allen can get on and try to set her up in a better situation, but it's going to be tough against Hope Troutwine.
And Troutwine just has such deceptive movement. She tends to be up in the zone a little bit, but even if the ball stays down, it still has that upward moving rotation, which as a hitter can be hard to hit.
Back-to-back Ks for Hope Troutwine.
Listen, if you want any shot at these pitchers, these are just pitches that we're going to have to try to see down in the zone, especially those 0-2, 1-2 counts. You know that this pitcher, Troutwine, is going to go up in the zone when she gets ahead of you. So as a hitter, can you step into the box and see the ball down and make Hope Troutwine bring it down in the zone?
Michaela Ramos's turn. She's the one we talked to you about. We'll see if she can make that adjustment. Again, only 9 pitches thrown so far, 2 batters down.
And I think you also have to respect Troutwine and know that she's going to get her strikeouts. That's going to happen. But the adjustments made in your second and third at bat, if something doesn't go right in your first, are so important against an offense like OU. You know they're going to find a way to score some runs, so you have to be able to manufacture when you step in the box for Iowa State something as the game goes on.
It's been hard to do. #1 in the nation in ERA is Hope Troutwine. 123 strikeouts on the season. Given up 1 home run this year. She falls behind 3-1 to Michaela Ramos.
And that's a hammer pitch to me, Courtney. If I have a 3-1 count,
yeah.
And you know that Hope Troutwine doesn't mix a changeup a ton. She's not going to change speed, so you know you're going to get something for the most part hard in the zone. Hitters count, you got to hack.
1, 2, 3, sit down, Hope Troutwine. side, strikes out the side.
Way to get ahead of these hitters, because if you fall behind, they're the type of hitters that are going to make you pay.
So our producer always asks us, which player do you want to highlight in the lineup? And I almost responded every single one of them, because that's Oklahoma's offense.
That is, but Olo is she's kind of a big deal.
She's real good, y'all. National Player of the Year last season. She'll bat in the 2 spot behind Jada Coleman, who is a strong leadoff at .433.
Across the board offensively for Oklahoma, it's kind of unfair in the best way possible, but
not if you're the Sooners. This one rolls to Casey Simpson at second, 1 away. So here comes Jocelyn Alo. This is a player that, I mean, people buy tickets to watch Jocelyn Alo step up to the plate. She set the home run record this year in her home state of Hawaii, on the field where she won state championships as a high school player. And she has continued to have that patience to grow her game and just be that tough player.
And Coach Patty Gasso says Alo is an old soul. Finds herself at times being the DP, but she's in the dugout, always next to the coaches, kind of talking shop. And she is very patient. And it was an interesting year when she was 1 home run away from beating the record. No one wanted to throw to her.
That's what she does. It's not a home run, but they will take it. Jocelyn Alo gets tripped up rounding first. So just 1 base for Alo, but it doesn't take her long to get on.
And I love that they're laughing about it. I mean, she just turns on this inside pitch, and she is rounding hard, and she just trips herself up. I'm glad she's okay as she rounds first base. And these are things as a team that you love talking about and making fun of each other in the best way possible. Because anytime you can make your teammates laugh and stuff like that happens, it just, you got to keep it light. You know she thinks it's hilarious.
Yeah, she was smiling and laughing about it too. Tiare Jennings takes the first pitch and follows suit. Jocelyn Alo, the reigning National Player of the Year, followed by the reigning Freshman of the Year, get back-to-back hits.
And as a pitcher for Ellie Spellhog, you know an offense like this is going to swing early, and you want to be able to get ahead, but at times it can be more a mentality of pitching backwards. So kind of going off speed a little bit right out of the gate, maybe spreading the zone a little bit further, a ball off the plate, and see if you can try to get this offense to chase. Because in my opinion, if you put anything too sweet right out of the gate, they're going to capitalize on it.
Well, I mean, Grace Lyons is having a fantastic year, too. She's one of those players. She's their shortstop and also a top 10 finalist for National Player of the Year. Patty Gasso said she's the best shortstop she's seen.
Well, and you know how important that leadership is in the infield. And you're always looking at that shortstop. And they carry such a big load out there. And not that they're getting a whole lot of balls with their pitchers, but it's just the confidence that she brings, the leadership that she has. I mean, she plays at such a high level, and she's by far one of the best that I've seen. I've been fortunate enough to play with Jen Salling, who, in my opinion, with Washington and Canada, back in her prime at shortstop, was one of the best that I've seen do it as well. But Sis Bates with what, you know, it's tough to say that there's just one the greatest of all time, but each one brings something sassy.
Yeah. Grace Lyons, a 2-time Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year in back-to-back seasons, including this year. Two to Lyons. Grabbed a piece of that ball to right field. Runners will hold. Malaysia Ochoa makes the grab.
And as a defense, you always have to be on your toes. As a pitcher, it is very hard to go into the game and get multiple strikeouts against this offense. So as a defender, this is your time to shine. You know that the ball is going to be hitting your way some way or another. Outfield has to be ready, but infield especially, because you're getting hot shots off these bats. If you can play clean defense against the Sooners and keep it in the yard, you stand a chance.
how much too is you're facing a team like Oklahoma, and we've talked too about the comparison to UConn women's basketball of the mental game, not losing the game before you step on the field, just knowing that that opponent across in the other dugout is this Oklahoma team.
Totally, and there are some teams that I'm sure play them with that little bit of fear factor, stepping on the field like, oh man, we're playing Oklahoma, we're supposed to lose. But if you can reverse the mentality and think we have nothing to lose because the pressure is on them, they're supposed to destroy us. They're the best offense that we've ever seen. And even though they step into the box and they can do some damage at any time, but I think when you can go back to your roots and remember why you play the game and why you've worked to the level that you have, and try to rise up in these type of moments, because every opportunity is an opportunity for you to shine and do something great.
Alyssa Brito will take her base. That loads them up for Lindsey Elam. I think if you're Iowa State, you've got to pull from that game one in the regular season when you played Oklahoma, a 2-run game, actually had the lead in that game. This Iowa State team can play right with the Sooners, but they're in a tough situation now.
And that's what I would have done last night if I was Coach Jamie Pinkerton. I would have just kind of sat and watched that game a little bit or pulled some highlights from some really great at-bats. Jordy Ball pitched in that game for Oklahoma, and they're obviously seeing Troutwine today, but I think anytime as an athlete, when you can see yourself doing something great, it just kind of gives you that little extra confidence going into a game. And we know a lot of coaches will make highlight reels for their athletes and their team to kind of sit and watch themselves having success.
Right now, Iowa State just focused on getting one out. Bases loaded for Lindsey Elam. It's been 2 hits, back-to-back hits from Jocelyn Allo and Tiare Jennings. And then Alyssa Brito got on with a walk to load him up. Lindsey Elam. Touch the ball. Boomer Sooner, grand slam.
This is Lindsey Elam's 14th home run of the season. This is a pitch on the inside part of the plate. I just don't think it gets enough in on her hands. But man, she can turn on it. Look at that bat speed to just be able to get inside the ball and just finds a way. See the bullpen, Nicole May going crazy out there. This is what Oklahoma does.
They've got a pretty big crowd cheering them on too. A new pitcher in the circle for Iowa State.
It's almost like you feel that momentum shift and it's just going to click together for Oklahoma. I think it's important to be able to make this change like Coach Pinkerton did right away and brings in Carly Charles. We saw her throw yesterday. I thought she did a really good job. She's 8-5 on the season. 3.15 ERA, and to be able to come into this game to just try to kind of get your team back in the dugout. You have 2 outs on the board, try to hit some good spots.
Here's Jana Johns, the third baseman. She had a 2-run home run in that close game 1 of the Iowa State series. Oh, right into the camera well.
And Coach Patty Gasso never hangs out in the coach's box, simply because when those righties are up.
Oh man, our teammate down there is okay.
So glad.
The camera saved him.
His buddy beside him is like, holy, we're lucky. Always have to have your head on a swivel.
I'm gonna get you a pitching mask. Way high into the air for Jana Johns, into the glove of Carly Spellhog, but not before damage is done. A second career grand slam for Lindsey Elam. And right now, I hope Troutwine is following up with her own good pitching performance. First time Oklahoma is playing in this tournament new format this year, so they got a bye yesterday, didn't have to play after winning the regular season. She struck out the side in the first and starts with the number 4 hitter, Malaysia Ochoa. Iowa State's going to have to make quick adjustments, but that hasn't been easy for anyone to do against Troutwine this season.
Well, and it's nice when your team's able to go up and score your 4 runs. As a pitcher, it allows for you to be able to execute and get ahead.
4 in a row. Big 12 Now on ESPN Plus is a must-have for Big 12 fans because our second semifinal is going to be there this afternoon. Texas and Oklahoma State square off at 5 Eastern. Then later tonight in baseball, number 9 Texas Tech taking on number 3 Oklahoma State in Stillwater. Plus, you can watch the early rounds of the Big 12 Baseball Championship later this month. If you're a Big 12 fan, you got to have it. You can sign up at espnplus.com/Big12Now. Alicia Ranchez will try her hand. It has been 4 strikeouts in a row for Hope Troutwine to start this game.
And the way some of these swings from Iowa State, it seems like the velocity's heavier. That one coming in at 64 miles an hour, but simply just by you. Almost feels like it's 70 miles an hour, the way that you're getting these swings. But I think the biggest task right now for Iowa State is just they have to see the ball down. You got to swing early in the count. You know Troutwine is going to find a way to get ahead with something, but she's going to climb that ladder on you and make that adjustment as a hitter.
This is an Iowa State team that, I mean, we've seen their offense go to work, and Jamie Pinkerton told us sometimes we frenzy hit where it's just one after another, but we've just got to get going. That can be the hard part. Right back at Troutwine. It bounces off her glove. Still time to make the play, but not enough time. Alicia Ranchez hanging in there. She is on for the Cyclones.
Ranchez just kind of hits this ball back, and I think that this is a play that Troutwine can make. Just wasn't able to get the hop. A lot of speed and a lot of hustle. You love that. It's going to be ruled a hit.
40th hit of the season for Ranchez, and brings us to Casey Simpson, who had the sac fly yesterday to seal the victory over Baylor, a comeback win. Went to extra innings. Just 1 extra inning. That was our first game of the day yesterday. What a way to start. Did it make its way up the net?
It didn't. Still yet.
We're trying. We're trying real hard up here. It's going to roll up here at some point. Danielle's all over it if it does.
Good lights by Simpson. Wouldn't be surprised here if Troutwine climbs the ladder at this 1-2 count. And as a hitter, it's just being able to recognize that rise ball spin. That's what makes it such a tough pitch to hit. It looks meaty. It looks like it's going to be down the middle of the plate, but it's just deciphering the difference. I think he wanted to. He was close. He almost got into his strikeout crouch.
Keith Kearney behind the plate for us today. Two coming to Casey Simpson. feel Iowa State kind of trying to get a little more comfortable with what they're seeing from Troutwine. This has been a longer at bat.
I think both these at bats have been pretty good. Ranches saw some good pitches, and Simpson for sure.
7 pitches for that K for Hope Troutwine, her 5th.
And this is a rise ball, the outside part of the plate. Love just that snap and release of her fingertips and the way she gets around the ball. And you have to be able to appreciate a good at-bat, even when you strike out. And Casey Simpson strikes out, but I think she really made Troutwine work, and she battled, saw some pitches. You have to be able to pull and try to create some energy, even if it's not the outcome that you want it to be.
Skylar Ramos, a 208 hitter. Her first look at Hope Troutwine. And again, Troutwine ahead, 0-2. Looking outside, and Skylar Ramos pulls back. Strikeouts through 7 batters for Hope Troutwine. One team, Iowa State, trying to get in. A win today would be very helpful. First pitch, Kenzie Hansen takes it, and it's rolling to the wall. Hansen still running all the way to second. So a single and an error for Kenzie Hansen gets her to second.
Gosh, so much pop. She's really fast. And for those that don't know, Coach Tarr, Heather Tarr, is the coach of the U.S. national team. And I remember talking to her about the USA tryouts. And she said Kenzie Hansen, out of all the athletes, was the second fastest at tryout camp.
Wow.
And to me, that just goes to show, you're talking about someone that is 5'11", 6 foot, catcher behind the dish. At times, the wear and tear of what that position can do to you, yet she has the wheels and the power. That's impressive.
Yeah, and they're huddling up here in the infield for Iowa State. And we've seen Carly Charles battle in the circle. She had to battle Baylor yesterday. There were some long at-bats against the Baylor Bears, but she was tough, and I liked how calm she was in any situation yesterday.
Yeah, very calm demeanor. I think I would try to just spread the zone a little bit. I know the philosophy of you want to be able to get ahead, you have to get ahead, but what I'm seeing from the Sooner hitters is they're swinging early in the count. Kenzie Hansen jumps on the first pitch. So once you kind of recognize that as a pitcher and a pitching coach in the dugout, maybe start to kind of go off the zone a little bit, maybe half a ball to a ball off. Mind you, Oklahoma is patient. They wait for their pitch, and that's what makes them such a challenging offense. But I would just try to see if I can spread it and test them.
Number 9 hitter, Riley Boone, the right fielder. Looking for her first hit in 3 games. That's a season-long drought for her. Not very long, just 3 games. Still a .419 hitter on the year. With a runner in scoring position. Rolls it past the glove of Charles. Here comes Kenzie Hansen home. Tack on one more for the Sooners.
It's a great job by Riley Boone. Just hits it right back up the middle. And I think defensively, knowing your speed, and I almost would have cut this ball off and went to 2 to eliminate Riley Boone getting to second base. knowing there's a good chance that Hansen's going to score from second when the ball gets through.
Right, get that out at second.
I think even if you don't get the out, cutting it off so then you're not putting her in scoring position for the top of the lineup and Jada Coleman.
Coleman was reaching for it. Here goes the runner and thrown out at third. Natalie Wellett sent it down the third base line.
And I'm wondering if Coach Gasso was watching this yesterday with Baylor, because this is exactly what happened with Binford stealing from second to third, and Wellett wasn't able to get the money throw to third, and that's how Binford scored the one run for Baylor yesterday.
Right.
So perfect execution there by Iowa State. Wellett with that solid throw. But I like testing. I think it's important to be able to put pressure on the defense.
Jada Coleman is behind to Carly Charles right now, 0-2. She grounded out to second to start the game.
Talking to Coach Patty Gasso about just Jada Coleman and what she brings, we asked if there's anything different this year from her freshman year last year. She said she's found ways to contain her emotions a little bit, but that's what makes her such a spectacular player. She's in the outfield. She is like going crazy for her players on her team, and they're making good plays.
It's lifted high but short, trying to make a play, and they do. Malaysia Ochoa, good grab from right. 7 Innings, the weekly softball podcast with the ESPN personalities covering the sport, entertaining us all the way to Oklahoma City and beyond. Listen now on the ESPN app, iTunes, or wherever you listen to podcasts. There's also a special TV edition of the show this Sunday at 8 Eastern after the selection show on ESPN2. We will have that for you. Two down now for Jocelyn Allo. Allo had the first hit of the game, a single, probably would have gotten two if she hadn't gotten tripped up rounding first. But she came home and scored anyway thanks to Lindsay Elam's grand slam. That's really what set Oklahoma apart, 4 runs in that first inning. And Jocelyn Allo's numbers, 476 hitter, all atop Big 12 standings when it comes to batting average, home runs, RBI, slugging. She's second in the nation in home runs, second in average. And another hit for Allo. Two hits off of 2 different pitchers for Jocelyn Allo.
This pitch just too meaty for one of the best, if not the best hitter in the nation right now. Ooh, it's right in her wheelhouse, over the heart of the plate. A lot of pop, just turns on it.
Tiare Jennings followed Allo last time with a single of her own. Pitch comes inside from Carly Charles for ball 1. Yeah, there was so much talk last year about Jocelyn Allo, but also about Tiare Jennings. What an amazing first year she had. Obviously, it was pretty solid as she won National Freshman of the Year.
I mean, the fact that she had over 80-plus ribbies last year, like she was a production machine. And to be able to have that behind a Jocelyn Allo is so important, because you know when the time is there and there's pressure, you're going to put Jocelyn Allo on because she's that type of hitter. You don't want to get beat by the best hitter, but when you have somebody like Tiare Jennings that is right there next in line, you almost have to kind of pick your poison a little bit.
Yeah, a player that strong who then goes and has experience at the Women's College World Series now comes back. That's been the story for Oklahoma. They have brought pretty much everyone back and add some new faces in the circle. Hops into the glove of Kaylee Pond at third, and Oklahoma will leave 1 runner on.
She just had such good control of that upspin. I think for Iowa State, it's just being able to recognize a pitch that you can do some damage with. You have to be able to decipher the difference between a pitch up in the zone that you can't do anything with, but we know that Troutwine is going to bring a pitch to get ahead with, whether it's in or away, and it's just being ready to crush something that is down in the zone.
Natalie Wellett is going to lead off this inning. We saw her have the great throw over to third to catch the runner stealing. She's working behind the plate today for Iowa State. Civil engineering major as well.
You don't see a lot of runners steal third often.
Yeah.
But I almost think it's harder to execute a throw down to third unless the third baseman is literally right by the bag than it is to go to second.
And Iowa State did a great job of executing
They did.
that. Yeah.
They did.
That'll even up the count, 2-2. Well, it was 1 for 2 yesterday against Baylor.
And we do know that Hope Troutwine, at least asking Coach Patty Gasso and really watching that Bedlam series last weekend with Michelle and Beth, and they really talked about Troutwine and her really trying to develop some type of an off-speed pitch. She's struggled a little bit with it because she honestly hasn't really needed it because she's gone up in the zone. I mean, her ERA, 0.17. I'll say that again, 0.17.
First in the nation.
#1 in the nation. So I think at times when you have so much success, it's like, oh, I don't know if I really need that off speed. And she also has the help with Jordy Ball and Nicole May. And that's what I've really loved about Oklahoma over the last couple of years. They have a pitching staff. They're not relying on a Kaylani Ricketts like they have back in the day where it was pretty much a one-arm show. They've really evolved different pitchers with completely different looks. Hope Troutwine looks way different than Jordy Ball. Jordy Ball looks way different than Nicole May. And that's what makes their staff very hard to adjust.
7th strikeout there for Troutwine.
Let's just take an extra peek at what has made Hope Troutwine so good today. It is climbing the ladder, baby. She has gone upstairs with this rise ball. She's froze a couple of hitters. And honestly, if you want to have success against this young lady, you have to be able to lay off the rise ball. And I don't know if that's moving around in the box a little bit, but it's trying to pick up and figure out, okay, how can I see this ball down? And picking up rise ball spin. Rise ball pitchers to me are the hardest to hit, even though when they leave one, at times it can tend to leave the yard. I think about Kelly Barnhill, one of the best to do it as a rise ball pitcher, but sometimes that home run was a little bit of a problem if she left it.
I want to go back to what you were talking about, though, how the different looks, and that's something that Jen Rocha has worked, having that mindset that they all know that she's the pitching coach for OU. They all know their strengths and how they complement each other. And that mentality is, I mean, you can speak to this as a pitcher, like, how does that affect your staff when you know your roles as a group as opposed to just one player?
Well, and one thing we did hear Coach Patty Gasser really talk about is Jennifer Rocha. Everyone knows Coach Rocha, but she's done a really good job of obviously allowing these women to know what their roles are, but giving them information on how to do it all, how to start a game, how to be a middle reliever, and how to come in and close a game. And that, I think, is so important because you can't always just rely on Jordy Ball just being a starter. Can you imagine if you can have a Jordy Ball be a starter and then one day have Nicole May and then bring in a Jordy Ball for 6-7? But that transition of starting a game and coming into close, it's a different pressure, it's a different feeling. So being able to teach that early, which Coach Jen Rocha has done, is special for this group. And we know Hope Troutwine is going to be done after this year being a redshirt senior, but Jordy Ball only being a freshman, Nicole May, and they're going to be getting some recruits. You know that they're only going to be adding to the greatness that they already have in the circle. They're a scary pitching staff, but more importantly, offensively, a little dangerous.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Right now it's a 2-2 count to Kaylee Pond, the number 9 hitter. Skies it. Jana Johns tracking it down. She kind of ducked when she caught it, but made the catch anyway. Well, our next WNBA matchup tomorrow afternoon on ABC and the ESPN app. Diana Taurasi and the Mercury squaring off against Sue Bird and the Storm. Coverage begins at 3 Eastern. Two friends facing off on the hardwood. Here's the top of the order. Carly Spellhog. That last out for Oklahoma's defense, first out today that wasn't a strikeout. Iowa State does have one hit. Alicia Ranchez got one in the second. See if Carly Spellhog can make the adjustment. Strike two. Carly Spellhog, good contact, but not deep enough. Alyssa Brito grabs it for out number 3.
Ways to try to get these hitters out, and if you give up a solo shot, accepting it. Okay, fine, it's one run. But that's the thing, this offense is so good, and they find a way to get on, and then they just maximize in the situation, and somebody steps up big. Very rarely do you see a bad at bat by one of these hitters.
Entering the game to play left field, number 4, Haley Gosey. Now batting, left fielder, number 33, Alyssa Brito.
So Alyssa Brito will step in. I want to let you know that Gosey is now working in left field for Iowa State, taking Carly Spellhog's spot. Alyssa Brito walked last time up. Brito is a transfer that's come into Oklahoma State. Played one season at Oregon, played shortstop last year. Second team All Pac-12 selection. All freshman team, defensive team. 10 home runs and 31 RBI last season. 13 home runs on the year this season for Brito. Excuse me, for Oklahoma.
One thing that we kind of really got the opportunity to talk to Patty Gasso about was just the emphasis on what they do at practice. And they are so big on making practice as physically hard on these women as they can and working on defensive stuff all the time.
There's a hit for Alyssa Brito. Her 8th hit over the last 6 games, and she has reached twice now. Well, this week on Sunday Night Baseball, the Giants and the Cardinals finish up their 3-game series at Busch Stadium. You can tune in on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and ESPN Radio coverage beginning at 6 Eastern with Baseball Tonight, Sunday Night Countdown. Well, going back to talking about practice, too, I mean, it's something where when they execute something they've worked on in practice in a game, they celebrate that moment.
They do, and the swagger's there, and I love that because when you make practice very challenging and it shows up in games, that's when you need it to be celebrated.
Lindsey Elam skies it. No grand slam this time, instead into the glove of Casey Simpson.
And that's why you love those types of players that just exude that confidence and just lift everyone up. And when I think of that, you think of Jada Coleman and how excited. And Coach Gasso said she will let everyone around her know when she makes a good play.
Yeah.
And she will let everyone around her know when her teammates make good plays. And those are you have to be excited about that type of stuff. That's what makes the game fun. When you step up and do big things and celebrate it. Yeah, this team is one of the best and could be the best to ever set foot on the field, ever. But if you don't celebrate the little things and enjoy the moments, it's not fun. And at times you have those moments where you're beating up on teams and you're getting a lot of run rules, but you still have to enjoy the little things in the game, practicing hard, and when it shows up, let's go.
It's dangerous over there on the third base side today.
I haven't seen Coach Patty Gasso set foot in the coach's box one time.
Right now, Carly Charles ahead of Jana Johns 0-2.
There's Jada Coleman. She's one of my favorite players to watch. She is. I'm all about the energy. Like,
I love that she thought she was going to come in and be a left-handed shortstop.
yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, we just don't see that often.
Patty Gasso was like, how about center field?
I love where your head's at, girlfriend, but we're going to put you in the outfield.
That one's foul for Jana Johns. Started her career at South Carolina before transferring in. Really stepped her game up this season at third base. Alicia Ranchez lost it in the sun. Jana Johns takes two. Alyssa Brito to third.
And it's almost like I saw this happening before it happened, because when the ball goes up, Ranchez has to track this for a long time, and it's this slight little like jump up to think that she has it, and there is nothing harder than a sky sunball, because it's not something you can go and practice religiously as a team, because you're not going to want to be staring up at the sun. It is one of the hardest plays, I think, to make in the game.
They're going to get Jana Johns a double on that play. Two in scoring position right now for Kinsey Hansen. And a meeting is called in the infield for Iowa State. Look, we're what, 30 miles from Oklahoma's home field. There's a lot of crimson and cream in the stands today.
They are showing up well for their Oklahoma softball team, that's for sure. And why wouldn't you celebrate women's sports? And that's what I've loved about Oklahoma, is they have a fan base. They pull so many people. They're going to be building a brand new softball stadium back in Norman, Oklahoma. I mean, these guys were my favorite. This lady here was wearing actually a double-decker fan from each side. She took that off. I don't know if it's because she knew the camera was coming her way, but it was one of my favorite things that I saw earlier. They're ready to go.
We'll see if Kinsey Hansen is ready to go here. Had a single and reached second on an error in the second inning. These fans were lined up too. This was 2 hours before first pitch. They wanted to make sure they got a good seat. And this is a big stadium.
And I would show up early, Courtney, because I want the shade.
Yeah, well,
and the shade seat to me is a hard seat to find when you're playing at this venue during the day. So anytime that adding that additional upper deck has been able to allow some shade coverage underneath.
Oklahoma 2 for 3 today with runners in scoring position. And Kinsey Hansen can be patient in the box with that 3-0 count.
And Carly Charles just hasn't even really given her anything she can sniff or do something with.
Brito at third, Johns at second right now for Oklahoma. First strike comes in from Carly Charles. If we know one thing about Carly, she will battle.
I like that call.
Yeah,
I think you got to call that pitch a strike. That pitch is right down the middle. I mean, maybe it's low, but that is a pitch that if Kinsey Hansen wants to jump on, she can hammer that.
hammered that. Ochoa diving forward for it, and Oklahoma will
for what's to come, and that's postseason.
Angelina Allen will start this inning for Iowa State. They've gotten one hit off of Hope Troutwine. Last inning was the first time they recorded outs other than a strikeout, so they made some contact with the ball. But what's been most effective and, causing the Cyclones to struggle at the plate today from Hope Troutwine?
Troutwine has just been able to find a way to get ahead, but she's climbed the ladder, and I think as a hitter, when you're not able to lay off of that pitch, that's what makes her one of the best in the nation with the ERA that she does have. As a hitter, the hardest thing you can tell a hitter is to lay off a rise ball or a drop ball. It's what made Kat Osterman with Texas one of the best in the world to do it, because people couldn't lay off that pitch, and vice versa. Monica Abbott with that upspin, and both those two are by far the best to do it. And as hitters, any hitter will tell you, I want to try to lay off of that pitch all day, but there's something in me that wants to attack it, and it looks so good, and then I do, and it's over my head. And you see it on that swing right there with Ramos. It's just, Troutwine can climb the ladder, and it is very hard as a hitter to adjust.
7 strikeouts today for Hope Troutwine, who started her career at North Texas, played 4 seasons there, was the Conference USA Pitcher of the Year. Rolls this one to Lindsey Elam for the next out. Also, this is a player, Hope Troutwine had a lot of success at North Texas. She pitched the first all-strikeout perfect game in Division I history against Arkansas Pine Bluff last season. And here she has come to Oklahoma, the defending national champions, and she's taken her game to another level, facing some really tough competition too.
And I think when you get the opportunity to work with a pitching coach like Jen Rocha, which is the experience that she has and how good she is in being able to kind of pick you apart in the best way and help you blossom in ways that maybe you didn't know, is so important. Pitching is by far the hardest position on the field. Not only the pressure that you feel, but trying to make your pitches move in all different, quadrants, and respecting and understanding counts. There's so much that goes into it. So you need a leader in a pitching coach that can really help maneuver how hard it is to be that. And that's why I have kind of enjoyed how the game has evolved a little bit, in the sense where teams are pitching more by committee and more by staff instead of it just a one-arm show, simply because the pressure at times that is on a pitcher is pretty intense. Good opportunity for her here today.
Saya Swain, a sophomore out of Paris, Texas. Riley Boone starting off, the number 9 hitter. Oklahoma had a grand slam in the first inning from Lindsey Elam to take the lead. Riley Boone had an RBI single in the second. But going back to the pitching staff, though, I know Team Canada, you guys used a true pitching staff for the Olympics. So what was that like?
I mean, pitching by committee is something that you have to learn how to do, but you have to own your job. So you have to know that there's a starter, there's a middle reliever, and then there's somebody that comes in to close a game. And You all have to be on the same page. You can't be fighting and saying, I want to be the one that starts the game. But it's effective because you ask any hitter, when you face one pitcher, one at bat, and then you face someone the second at bat, different in the third, it is very hard to adjust to that. So I think when you can be committed to that plan, it's not bad. But it's just kind of owning the different pressures that each role brings, because they are very separate. When you start a game, you have to kind of create that energy. Middle reliever is obviously a little different, but closing a game, you come into a close game, 0-0 ball game in the 5th or the 6th inning, the game's going to be won or lost on you.
Yeah.
So you just have to deal with it and love the pressure and love the heart rate being elevated and own your job.
That was a very tough bunt laid down by Riley Boone. We're going to come together and talk about this. They're looking to see if it's a bunt or a swing.
And that to me looks like a slap that just kind of deadens the way that her barrel comes across the zone. I do not think that was a bunt attempt whatsoever. It's just kind of the way that her body and the barrel stayed level the whole way.
And I think they agree it was a swing, so she's going to come back and do this again, because that one rolled foul.
If I kind of look at how this game has gone as we're heading into the 5th inning, like if you don't give up that grand slam, it's a one-run ball game.
Right.
If you're able to kind of execute Iowa State, and that's what makes Oklahoma's offense very dangerous. But when you're facing them, if you give up the big bombs with a bunch of runners on base, the game can get out of hand fairly quickly, and that's what had happened there in the first. But we saw them put up a 0 last inning, and I think any 0 that you can put up against an Oklahoma offense, that's something to celebrate.
Yeah, and Jamie Pinkerton has talked to us about how this team is never out of it. They're not over. It's not over until they're out of outs. They have come from behind. They've been in some close games this year. Had to rally. High, right over the head of Swain. Then it takes a funny hop to give Riley Boone plenty of time to reach.
That's why Riley Boone is in the 9 spot. Not only is she a spark plug and pretty much like a 9 hitter or leadoff hitter, that can turn the lineup over, but just that speed and what she's able to do is so important. And that's a base hit all day in my book.
The ball just landed and then
deadened.
And then it spun a weird way. And then you come to Jada Coleman, who's had hits in 5 of her last 7 games, but none today. Now this will be the 3rd different pitcher she's faced. Put her in the leadoff spot this year. Patty Gasso says she's just a gamer. She fires the team up. They want that at the top of their order. In comes the strike by Swain.
I know that everyone's a Jocelyn Allo, excuse me, but I mean, to me, Jordy Ball and Jada Coleman are 2 of my favorite players to watch. Like, the fire that they both bring is just so contagious to the rest of the team. And I think that is something at times you can't teach. It's just who you are and what you bring to the table, and that's why she talks about Jada Coleman and the fact that she is a gamer.
There's a lot of fun players like that. When Miranda Ellis is pitching, she's fire.
I can also respect a pitcher that is like Kelly Maxwell.
Oh, yeah, so stoic.
Yes. I love that as well. It's a pretty pitch by Swain. I like that spot. This is a good pitch. This is a 1-2 count. I mean, I think if the catcher, it can frame that a little bit better. It looked like it took her glove. If you can frame that, I think that can be a called strike.
Easy play to Ranchez at short. Runner is safe at first. 1 out.
This is just where you want to be careful with Allo coming up. And try to keep the ball in the park. Easier said than done, for sure.
She's already had 2 hits, both of those going out to left field.
And knowing that she is able to turn on that, maybe challenge her a little bit more on the outside part of the plate. See, I mean, we know she can go oppo taco. I've seen her do it, but she's off the plate a little bit. And it's not to say that when a hitter's off the plate that you can't throw in, because you surely can, but you have to remember, when a hitter's off the plate, if you throw a regular spot, that's almost as if the ball's down the middle of the plate to them. You have to be able to bring it and look where they're at and say, okay, she's off the plate. I got to bring it, instead of half a ball off, I got to bring in a ball in towards her.
Straight out to center, but shallow, and Skylar Ramos retires Jocelyn Alla. Iowa State definitely settling into this game. They've made some tough catches. It's a bright day out too, having to look up into the sun. Tiare Jennings trying to help out Riley Boone at first base. She gets jammed. Kaylee Pond steps in front of Ranchez to make
up to down, and just her mannerisms, she's spectacular. But there wasn't a lot of information on this young lady coming in, and that's harder when you're facing someone like that for the first time, to adapt and adjust. And I think she would have been successful regardless, but I do think not having a lot of information definitely helps.
But even as there is information becoming available with more film on Jordy Ball as this season goes on, I mean, she's still been really tough.
No, she's been one of the best to do it.
Yeah.
But I also think when you have other people that are there to help you out, it allows for you to be able to perform better too, because you're not pitching every single game. You know that Troutwine can go in and have a heck of a performance with a .17 ERA, and Nicole May can have your back. And at times I think there's a difference when you think about Valerie Cagle, when you think about Keely Rochard, when you think about Megan Faramo, and some of these pitchers that are having to throw, Georgina Korick, 200+ innings. It's just a little bit different.
Well, Alicia Ranchez is the only Iowa State player with a hit today, and now she's got 2 of them. Got her first hit in the 2nd inning, and now her second here in the 5th.
And this is a good adjustment for her to be able to make. Last hit she got was off of Hope Troutwine's mitt, but this one hits the green.
Now can her teammates help her out? Casey Simpson will try to.
I want to dive in a little bit, Courtney, to these Oklahoma Sooner pitchers and the run roll. When you think about 35 of their 49 games that they've played this year, over 71% of their games have ended in run roll. That is a lot of innings that these pitchers are missing out on opportunities to be throwing to hitters in a different environment, right? And even when we mentioned that with Coach Patty Gasso, she said, yeah, our pitchers are getting frustrated with it. And like 35 of their games have been won via the run rule. That's 66 innings taken away from Troutwine, Jordy Ball, and Nicole May. And I asked Coach Gasso, like, how is that affecting your pitchers, and is it? And she says, we definitely have our frustrations, but what I really try to do is they're throwing live all the time to our hitters, and no better opportunity than to throw to that offense day in and day out. It's going to prepare you.
Do you want to do that?
I don't think that I would, but what Coach Gasso does so great is she goes, you can't let that affect you.
Oh, good catch, Tiare Jennings. Runner gets back to first. Turned her glove over.
So good. Really clutch play here by Tiare Jennings. Iowa State putting some pressure on the Sooners. It's clutch play in this moment. But just to kind of go back, and Coach Gasso has really had to reiterate to the pitchers, like, you cannot let performance-based things in practice alter the mindset, because it can be easy to get taken down. Oh, Jocelyn just got a hit off me. Tiare Jennings just got a hit off me.
Yeah.
But she did say last year our hitters owned our pitchers. So you think about G. Juarez, Shannon Sale, Nicole May. hitting owned them. She said it's been the opposite this year. The pitchers in practice have owned at times our hitters. And she said, I wish that we had a GoPro or a camera in to watch a Jordy Ball and Jocelyn Allo in practice matchup. It is intense. Those two are just going at it. You're talking about a super senior and a gritty freshman.
We would love to see that. So if somebody could set a camera up, that would be great.
I get a pay-per-view going. Get the, you know, I would tune in to watch that.
Troutwine ahead 0-2 right now on Skylar Ramos. Hansen's able to get back to it.
But Patty Gasso just really prides herself on trying to make it as difficult as she can for a pitcher. She said, we're putting runners on second and third with none out, facing our hitters in practice, making them work and grind through it. And that's where you kind of start to learn and dig deep as a pitcher. If you're not getting the reps and you're missing 66 innings against other opponents, at least you're getting it in practice.
Swinging strikeout for Hope Troutwine.
We're just pumping velo here, baby. Climbing the ladder on the outside part of the plate. Bayou. Runner gets on. Hope Troutwine just steps up.
9th strikeout. 2 down for Natalie Wellett, the catcher. Alicia Rancha started this inning off with a hit, her 2nd hit today. She accounts for both of Iowa State's hits off of Hope Troutwine. Somebody's got to help her out, though. Easier said than done.
Pretty pitch. Just expanding the zone, and it's a picture perfect 0-2 pitch on the outside part of the plate.
Grace Lyons grabs it. Iowa State leaves a runner on for just the 2nd time today.
Neat defensive plays are what really launch you into the dugout and get you going and allow for you to start firing on all cylinders. But I really like what Coach Pinkerton has been able to do with being able to start Spellhog and then go to Carly Charles and then bring in Swain. I just think it's made it a little bit more challenging on these hitters.
Grace Lyons rolls it to the shortstop. Alicia Ranchez one away. And Say Swain, just a sophomore. We've talked about how tough her changeup is, but she's been one of the arms they've relied on, along with Carly Charles and Ellie Spellhog. Kind of the 3 that we've seen in this game have been their main 3 all season. Alyssa Brito has been a tough out. Walked in the 1st, had a run scored, and then a single in the 3rd. Advanced all the way to 3rd base before she was left there. Hitting over 400 her last 5 games.
She's what you would call an impact transfer.
Oh, yes.
Being able to come into this program
from Oregon
with the numbers that she's been able to put up. I wonder how many transfer portal athletes are knocking at Oklahoma's door.
The transfer portal is a chaotic place to be right now.
Yes. I'm glad we didn't really hear about that much back in the day. It is definitely something you've heard about over the last 4 or 5 years, and I am always someone that's going to stand up for the athlete, and if you're not happy, I'm with you. I think you always want to be happy with where you're at, and you deserve that. because you think about how much you dedicate to this sport, and it goes by so quickly. 4 years before you know it, and it's done, and you look back and woulda, coulda, shoulda. You never want to have that.
Oh, got it! Gosi out in left field!
A little ice in her veins. I saw that. I see you, Gosi. This is a liner. I thought this is touching green all day, but she's able to lay out and get this. Really, defense. You said it.
Yes. Sports Center top 10. It's a pretty good catch.
I think so. It's a pretty good catch. Yeah.
Yeah, Iowa State has settled in. Defense playing well. Pitching has been tough now. After that first inning where they gave up that grand slam to this player right here stepping in, Lindsey Elam. That'll fire a pitcher up too, don't you think?
That'll fire me up here in the booth.
Well, you are a pitcher.
I mean, look at the excitement, right? Let's go. That's what it's all about. Pretty.
Well, they say she did not go. Elam certainly thought about it. Lindsey Elam, one of the leaders for Oklahoma. That's somebody that Patty Gasso mentioned right away. Barely played as a freshman, but has become a key piece as she's become a veteran of this team.
Well, in asking the leaders, she talked about Lindsey Elam.
Say a swing, diving for it.
Assessment as a hitter and just have a good quality at bat. Use the momentum that your defense is providing for you and try to get something going.
Yeah, the Cyclone defense has been great these last couple of innings.
And sometimes that's what an offense like Oklahoma can do. They can just put that added pressure on you and make you make that mistake. And we haven't seen that today. We've seen them play a good, clean defense.
This is Kaylee Pond, the number 9 hitter, leading off. Troutwine ahead 1-2. Troutwine with 9 strikeouts. But we're seeing Iowa State make more contact as this game has gone on.
You probably have to kind of secretly love it when you're in the circle and it's not a run rule game in the 5th, and you're like, all right, there could be a chance that maybe I get to pitch the 6th and 7th. That's 6 outs that I get to continue to still work on things. And
Oklahoma's got to be careful here too. I mean, Iowa State,
for sure.
Two to Pond.
But I also feel like at times Oklahoma can heavily rely on knowing that that's happened. It's happened 35 of the 49 games they played.
Yeah, I mean, that is so aggressive.
When you score a 4 spot in the first inning, there's a good shot as a pitcher. You're like, we're probably going to maybe run roll, because it's happened 35 times this year.
Right.
So as a pitcher, it kind of probably gets them going, thinking that I get to work on things, because everything is about working where you're trying to go. You're never exactly where you need to be until you hoist that trophy up at the end of the season, which they did last year. It's always a work in progress. And yeah, you may be able to put up a ton of runs, but it's about gaining momentum and experience in that moment. And for them, 6 more outs, regardless if Iowa State comes back or not, helps Hope Troutwine.
And she's going to have to battle through this at bat. This will be the 8th pitch to Kaylee Pond. That stamina, too, of going 7 innings.
And I know that they're used to this heat and they're just 30 minutes down the road, but a complete game in 90+ degrees, you're on a different fitness level in the circle. It's taxing, it's hard, your body's moving and grooving, and it's max effort that Troutwine is giving every single pitch. And I tell you, when I landed in Oklahoma on Wednesday and I went to the rental car bus, I was like, wow.
Did you melt?
I melted, and I almost felt like we were back in Tokyo for the Olympics. I was like, this is how hot it was.
Yeah.
And when you put a uni on, it's almost like the heat kind of goes away. Your alter ego comes out.
Wow, a 10-pitch at bat to Kaylee Pond, and she walks. That is the first free pass issued today by Hope Troutwine. What an at bat.
Well, and that's the thing. If you can try to make a pitcher work and just be annoying when you step in the batter's box, at times you can allow for them to make an error or miss a pitch or something happen. And that's exactly what you want out of your 9-hitter, Courtney. You want someone that's going to be able to turn that lineup over, have a good at bat. And that was a big AB by Kaylee Pond.
Kaylee Gosey now up. She's the one that just had the big diving catch in left field. Batting at the top of the order in Carly Spellhag's spot. Swung on it late for strike 2.
Well, and you have to remember, a lot of these hitters are going on their 3rd at bat. She's going on her 1st.
Oh, yeah.
So she's, I mean, even though they got the opportunity to face Hope Troutwine last year, you know she's completely evolved as a pitcher and is different than what they faced last year. Heads up.
Oh, that was your chance to save
Sorry,
me.
I was ready. You saw that?
Thank you.
Yes.
You're a true teammate.
Yes.
That was going to be your chance.
Never turn your back to the field.
I didn't.
No, it was eyes down. You look down, and it's.
Just writing a note. I just trust you that much, Danielle.
As you should.
0-2 0-2 to Gosey. This one's coming up too. Wow, Troutwine will win that battle after giving up the free pass. 10th strikeout.
I like this. This just blows it by her on the outside part of the plate. Whew. Coach Patty Gasso going out to just have a talk with her team.
Just the first out of this inning. Kaylee Pond started with a 10-pitch at bat, the first 10-pitch at bat in this tournament so far. Got on with a walk. So the message from Patty Gasso received.
That we did get the chance to talk with Coach Gasso about, we said, like, what are the characteristics of this team? If you had to, pick it, and she goes, at times they're very laid back, almost too laid back for me. And I've had to learn that I have to trust that. And I think that that's something that experience, comes into play. When you think about it, a lot of these are just all returns from last year. And they're calm, cool, and collected, and they trust their process, and they trust each other. And sometimes it comes across as not as maybe intense as some may look at it, like Coach Gasso, but based on what they're able to do offensively, defensively, just goes to show that that trust piece is so important.
A big cut by Angelina Allen, the freshman. I think this Oklahoma team, though, they know each other so well now because from the beginning, last year, they had that open line of communication where they was giving feedback on what they were seeing at the plate, talking to each other about plays they made, and that kind of builds trust. And year 2 of that builds even more trust, so they know when to lock in. Two-2 count here to Angelina Allen. Strikeout for Hope Troutwine.
I think to me what's been most impressive is she gives up that leadoff walk, but she comes back with back-to-back Ks, and they are pretty much deja vu pitches to these hitters on the outside part of the plate, using gas and location.
I think that hit Ramos's bat, not her. So foul ball. Thank goodness that was close.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, the knob of the bat. Ooh.
Yeah, you would have known if it hit her.
Oh yeah, she didn't react.
It's a good spot. Crowd isn't happy about it, but I like that spot.
A good rip into foul territory. Heads up.
This is something at this stadium every single year when I see games, and I always see little kiddos running around.
Oh,
always down the line, and I'm always, the mom in me is always like, I hope you got your eyes on your kid, because some of these hitters that step up, they can turn on it. Always got to be watching the field. There's a little off-speed pitch. 59. Troutwine going on her 100th pitch.
some of the toughest ABs we've seen in this inning from the Cyclones. Saw that 10-pitch at bat to start this inning off. Kaylee Pond drew the walk. First free pass issued by the Sooners.
And sometimes it can be that third AB where you're just in your head. You're like, all right, this is the third time I'm seeing her. This is what I've seen. I'm going to focus on this. Still gets her, climbs the ladder.
Ooh, strikeout number 12.
To back. K's, baby. Wow.
Haven't allowed Oklahoma to put on any more runs. We will start with Jana Johns, the third baseman. That goes foul.
We're just kind of getting to that time with postseason where you can just, you feel it. Like once that selection show comes, it's like a countdown to like crowning somebody's dream. And it's so special, like when you think about it. And
Johns gets jammed. Kaylee Pond makes the play, one away.
like last year, for me, getting to just truly be a spectator of the sport and watch the regionals and watch JMU and Missouri going at it in super regional, and watching that Cinderella story of JMU with what they were able to do to take down the big dog game 1 Thursday night. Like that was, you can't write a better story, not only to win a national championship with having to come back and face that adversity, but like also with James Madison and like that story that they finally were able to get to OKC and Odyssey Alexander, and it's just cool how this sport and this platform can do that for these athletes. I think it's spectacular.
We had 2 unseeded teams last year, JMU and Georgia, make the World Series.
And it just goes to show the parity of the sport has gotten so much better, and on any given day, you can beat anybody. It really is. Like, you turn on the TV, and if you've never watched a softball game before, I mean, you're a sports fan, I feel like it's something that you fall in love with. The speed of the game, pace of play, the athletes, how hard. And it's not a knock on baseball. At times, it's just hard for me to sit through like 4-hour games and watch.
Yeah.
World Series baseball, playoff baseball, I'm in. But I will turn on any softball game. It doesn't matter who's playing, and I'm invested. I think it's because I obviously know the grind of the collegiate athlete, but
look at the fans here. Look how many fans are here.
And Coach Gasso made such a great point, which is like, these people are taking time off work on a Friday.
Yeah.
For a 1 o'clock game, and just goes to show.
Kinsey Hansen right at the wall. Ochoa grabs it. 2 down. Well, this week on Sunday Night Baseball, the Giants and the Cardinals finish up their 3-game series at Busch Stadium. You can tune in on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and ESPN Radio. Coverage begins at 6 Eastern with Baseball Tonight, Sunday Night Countdown. Well, the last time Oklahoma had a hit was in the 4th inning, and it was Riley Boone.
I've been really impressed with how Iowa State, I mean, you take away the first inning, it's a 1-run ball game, right? You take away that one swing, and it's a 1-run ball game with the run scored in the second. And I think being able to just put up zeros, got a 0 in the 3rd, in the 4th, in the 5th. And I think it's kind of changing pitchers a little bit and trying to make it and disrupt the timing of Oklahoma's hitters. And it's kind of showed that that's been successful for Iowa State today, for sure.
Well, look at Swain's numbers since she entered. 2 2/3 innings, given up 1 hit, retired 8 of the 9.
Yeah, and defensively, I mean, both these teams to me have made some great defensive plays today. And anytime when you play great defense, you give your team a shot.
Three balls and a strike to Riley Boone. Casey Simpson working hard at second, helping Oklahoma hang on to this 5-0 lead.
I think that anytime there's been added pressure to her whatsoever in the circle with a runner getting on or a really good at bat and a walk, she has really dialed it in and done a great job of using that rise ball. I mean, she struck out a lot of hitters. She's been locked in today.
Yeah, 12 Ks. Her season high is 13 strikeouts. She did that against Hawaii and Baylor. Starting with Malaysia Ochoa. And quickly she's ahead after 2 foul balls. 2 hits today for Iowa State, both of them coming by Alicia Ranches, the shortstop. They did reach on a walk in the last inning, but then Troutwine struck out the next 3 batters.
Everybody clap your hands.
Ochoa doing a great job of fouling off a lot of pitches here. 0-2 count. It's kind of one of those tricky counts sometimes as a hitter. You don't want to leave anything up to the umpire behind the dish. You want to kind of foul some pitches off and wait for something that's in your wheelhouse you can do something with.
Strikeout number 13 ties a season high.
And this is just a pitch as a hitter 0-2. You got to find a way to lay off, right? Is a rise ball outside part of the plate. Little extra glare from Ochoa to Troutwine, like, yeah, it just wasn't going to happen.
Now, this has been a tough one today. Alicia Ranchez has gotten 2 hits off of Troutwine. No one else has.
She's definitely seeing her pretty good. First hit went off Troutwine's glove, and then that second one, she hit out to the green. And I think what has been so good for Ranchez, and at least seeing kind of in this at bat, she's not even sniffing at the up. She's not even fooled. Body, nothing is going up towards that pitch at all. She's seeing the ball down in the zone really well. I like Kinsey Hansen just going out to have a quick conversation with her pitcher at a 2-1 count.
That up ball is what Iowa State has struggled with.
And that is why I think she's been the one to get the 2 hits.
Yeah.
Her at bat, she's been pretty patient with that pitch and hasn't really gotten herself out on it or swung up out of the zone. It's not to say that she still might not, but I've seen her be pretty patient with that. But I think Kinsey Hansen being able to go out and have a conversation with Troutwine in this moment, it's like we got one out on the board. We cannot be falling behind when we're winning 5-0. And I think, I'm not entirely sure that's what she said, but as a pitcher, that's what I would want to hear. I'd want my catcher to come out and kind of hold me accountable in that situation.
That's a nice pitch.
And there's such like a level of trust in a battery, and whether or not a catcher calls pitches or not, to be able to have that cat and mouse game, that 2-against-1 mentality when you're going out there as a pitcher and catcher and know that you're not alone in the circle, you have help.
This one goes right back at Troutwine. Iowa State is down to its final out. Hope Troutwine, she has been fantastic, tying a season-high 13 strikeouts, and she is our player of the game, brought to you by Phillips 66.
She has climbed the ladder, Courtney, all day. She's made Iowa State chase pitches up and out of the zone, and that's what makes her such a significant piece of the puzzle to OU's success in the circle. Primarily the only rise ball pitcher. We've seen Jordy Ball go upstairs, but what makes Jordy Ball so good is that she complements well with that drop ball. But Hope Troutwine has been spectacular today.
And Danielle, we were kind of wondering in the break, how many times has she thrown 7 innings? This is her 3rd game this season, throwing 7 innings.
And that's something that you need to love, right? Like, these are things where a lot of pitchers have had full 7-inning games up to this point in the season. So it's a good opportunity for Troutwine, who's thrown a full game, to go out and grind and has gotten in some situations, but has got out of it and has an opportunity here to set a season high in Ks
against a pinch hitter, Angelita Fuentes. A season high in the semifinal. Hope Troutwine, 14 strikeouts. Oklahoma moving on to the championship game.
Well,